All right, we're going to do a hub installation, drive side brake installation on a wheel. We're going to start off by preparing the brake caliper to go into the assembly. What we want to do with that is we want to take the caliper, we want to attach the spacer. The spacer has 3/8 bolts in it. We're going to place that onto the caliper. We're going to take red Loctite, put them on these bolts. We're not going to do that, but you will. We're going to torque these to 20 to 25 foot-pounds. And this is just a necessary step to get that ready for the installation. We also at the same time want to put on the upper stop. This is the caliper stop on the stop bracket. Caliper bracket, we want to put that in place. And then we're going to assemble the wheel on, the hub onto the wheel. So we're going to start with the pulley side hub. That would be this hub. These are 7/16 bolts. They're 1 3/4 inch long. I'm going to put red Loctite on the bolts. I'm going to torque these to 70 foot-pounds. With that in place, we're going to put on the smooth side, the right side. Basically, we have to put the crush tube, the inner spacer in. And bolt the hub on. These bolts are a little bit longer. They're 2.5 inches long. Now, before we Loctite and torque those into place, we want to put this axle through the center. You can use your axle from your 300 swing arm kit. Put that axle in place. That's going to hold the bearings, align the bearings, and it's also going to align the inner spacer, that crush tube. Yep. And again, we're going to red Loctite. And torque to 70 foot-pounds. Okay, so that spins freely. We have our inner spacer and our bearings lined up very well. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take the brake caliper. We're going to spread the brake pads. And we're going to put our rotor in between the pads. It's going to make it a lot easier. We're going to set the rotor in place, aligning obviously the 5 holes. That brake caliper really isn't going to go anywhere on you. It should be good just like it is. Now I see an issue here, so let me correct this real quick. When I put on this bracket, I put it on backwards. You make sure that you don't do that. Let me get it straightened out real quick. You don't want to Loctite this and torque it and all that stuff and then have to take it apart. So even though I didn't do it right, you need to do that. Alright, let's put the bracket where it belongs. Okay, now we're assuming that this is in place, red Loctite, and torqued to 20 to 25 foot-pounds. Okay, now we're going to put on the compensator bowl. Sits on top of the brake rotor, obviously. We've got 5 bolts. I think they're 2 3/4 inch long. We're going to do the same thing with these. We're going to red Loctite. We're going to torque to 70 foot-pounds. All right, now we're going to put the cushion, the compensator bowl cushion in place. We've got an aftermarket one that we want to try out, so we're going to put that in place. Next, we're going to put the pulley in place. We put our axle back in. It's going to make it very easy to get the pulley in. Now, our pulley with that new cushion goes in very easy. Your stock one may be a little bit more difficult. If you find it's more difficult, you might want to put some lube on top of that rubber spacer or cushion. Some soapy substance, something to make that pulley go in easier. Again, ours just dropped in, but yours might be a little difficult if it's the stock one. Okay, we're lined up again. Actually, we were supposed to put the spacer in first. Spacer goes in between the cushion and the pulley. Put the spacer in between the pulley. Put the pulley back in place. Okay, now on top of the bearing, the pulley bearing, we're going to put this spacer. It's a 575 thousandths wide spacer. Now we're going to take our caliper bracket, set it on top of the spacer, put our axle in again to align it, tighten the 2 bolts, again red Loctite, 20 to 25 foot-pounds of torque. Alright, and the last thing that we're going to put in here is we're going to put in this 30 thousandths wide shim or spacer. This is our left side axle spacer. And we're going to take our special tool. It's a wooden dowel, very expensive special tool. We're going to try and provide those for everybody. So we put the dowel through the center. We go to the opposite side. I'm going to put a washer on here to hold it in place. I'm going to put the cotter pin in. Bend this a little bit. Okay, so your wheel is assembled. It's got everything in it that it needs to go into the swing arm. It's ready for that, and you can go ahead and get your bike set up properly, get the swing arm at the proper height for the axle to go through, and go ahead and install the wheel onto the motorcycle.